Sanitation includes careful scrubbing of your equipment. It makes the equipment clean, but it doesn't kill all the microorganisms and bacteria. Disinfection is the next level. You need to disinfect any instrument that's entered the body, such as a nasal speculum. You can disinfect with chemical germicides, flowing steam, or boiling water. I'm going to use a germicide. Contaminated instruments like these are usually immersed in a germicidal solution anywhere between 1 to 10 hours, or depending on the manufacturer's directions. Once the instruments have been immersed in the solution long enough, the next thing to do is to dry them and rinse them off. You use distilled water in the rinsing process.
Yes, I read that, but why is distilled necessary?
It prevents corrosion. EKG machines and other equipment should be wiped down with a germicidal solution like I have here. Or you can put them underneath ultraviolet light, which is the way it's done in some of the hospital operating rooms. It just depends on where you wind up working. Sterilization is the top level of cleanliness. Sterilization kills all the microorganisms and must be used for any instrument that's come into contact with an open wound or tissue beneath the skin. Many medical offices use autoclaves for sterilization.
We studied the autoclave, but I've heard it isn't used much anymore. So many things come in pre-sterilized packages and then you just throw them away.
Well, that is true. You can get pre-packaged sterilized trays of instruments for all kinds of office procedures. And for blades and needles and syringes, we use the pre-sterilized disposables. But a lot of practices, including ours, still use the autoclave for things like scissors, hemostats, and forceps.
Well, let's see if I remember the definition. Autoclaving is using steam under pressure to cause the microorganisms to explode. Use distilled water and follow the manufacturer's directions.
You've got a good memory. The steam builds up in the outer chamber and is forced into the inner chamber where the instruments are placed. Depending on the model type, there can be anywhere from 1 to 3 gauges that tell you pressure in the inner and the outer chambers and the temperature.
What's the story on wrapping then? I know things have changed. My aunt was a medical assistant, and she thinks we've got it easy today.
Well, wrapping has gotten a lot easier since the advent of the steri pouch. Instruments that are going to be used immediately can just be placed in perforated trays inside the autoclave, unwrapped. But anything that's going to be used for future use usually gets put in a pouch. Usually the sealing strip has a built-in indicator that will change color to show you what's inside has been sterilized.
Is this where you put the date?
That's where I like to put it. Why don't you try to load it yourself now, Joan?
Sure.
Actually, before you start, one little trick is I like to put a towel at the bottom. It helps catch any of the drippings.
Oh, okay, now I know they're supposed to go on their sides.
Right. But you don't want to put too many in because the whole idea is to have the steam penetrate around the instruments.
Like overloading a dishwasher and only some things get clean?
Something like that. You should monitor the gauges once the autoclaving has started and to make sure that everything is working as it should. At the end of the process, you need to dry all the packs very carefully because a wet pack can encourage bacteria to grow. What I like to do is open the door just a fraction, about 3/4 of an inch.
Oh, there's a lot of little tricks to this.
Well, don't worry about it. It soon becomes a habit, and you don't have to think about it. But another good habit that you should remember is that no matter how tired you are, or no matter how late it gets, just don't open the cabinet and shove in new pouches. The freshest packs go in the back. Everything has to be rotated.